Have you ever just wanted to sit with somebody that's good at sales and have them walk you through exactly what they're doing to close deals? Now, if you're a consultant or a coach, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, because recently I was invited onto the Unblinded Real Raw Role Play podcast interview. I'm pretty impressed with myself that I just said that all correctly. So if you're watching this video, be sure to like and be sure to subscribe, and we're going to dive right into this. What's up, guys? My name is Mike Metzger, and in the beginning of my career, I made the little bulk of my wealth in the very beginning through sales. I've really been a decent salesperson for most of my adult life, but even as a teenager, I worked at the mall, at a mall kiosk, selling Wi-Fi hotspots and routers and things like that. And as I got older, even sold things like water filters that were upwards of $2,000 or $3,000 a piece. I like sales, and I think that it's an important aspect of being socially confident. I think it helps you build relationships. I think it helps people become more successful in business transactions. I think it helps you get paid what you're worth. And I just think it helps you all over the place. Even if you walk into a car dealership to buy a car, you feel confident, you feel safe, you feel protected because you know sales and you know you're not going to get ripped off. So I encourage everybody to learn sales, even if they're not going to put themselves in a scenario where they are the ones selling over the phone or really just selling anything at all anywhere. So recently I was invited onto this podcast interview called Unblinded, and it's really awesome. I was essentially thrown into a situation with 8 or 9 strangers that I've never met before, and there were 2 contestants, one of them being me. There were 3 judges that judged the salesperson, and then there is a role player, which is the person that I am selling to in the video that you're about to watch. And then the host of the show, his name was Sean. Everybody was great. I actually had a lot of fun. I didn't know what to expect diving into that situation, but it was really great. And I thought to myself, why don't I break down what I was doing in the sales conversation with the woman that you're going to meet, which is Donna. Now, the rules of the show are this. There are 2 3-minute rounds. So that means I have to take somebody from a hello, somebody I've never met, to making a commitment, essentially on the phone, to purchase something or make some sort of buying decision in under 6 minutes. And if you're a salesperson watching this, you know that that is very, very difficult. If you aren't a salesperson, let me give you a reference point. A very well done sales call for a high priced item could easily take 45 minutes to an hour. Now, even beyond that, you're really not likely to just call somebody and close a deal on some sort of expensive product in an hour. There's a lot more that goes into it than that. Really, you're looking at anywhere between 7 to 15, what I would call touch points, right? 7 to 15 interactions with somebody before they make a serious buying decision and sign their name or hand you the money. So this is, again, role play. However, the principles in this video absolutely apply to real life sales. I didn't know this person, and my actual objective in this call was to close the deal. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to let you watch it, and I'm going to break down every little thing that I do over the next few minutes as you watch this. So let's go ahead and dive in.
This is not a sales dynamic. This is a hello to yes dynamic. So you could be making a sale for your business. You could be merging ecosystems with a partner. You could be seeking a speaking opportunity, whatever Mike or Pedro wants to do with Donna. And Donna can be herself, or she could be any avatar you want. Anybody that would be a perfect opportunity for you to communicate with. Again, ideal client, ecosystem partner, potentially you do something with, perhaps a book publisher, whatever would make sense for you. And it's truly a yes, Mike and Pedro, that you are seeking in the world. It's a 6-minute conversation. It's 1 conversation, not 2, but it will be divided in half at the 3-minute mark, where Donna will have to take a quick call. She'll come back. You do not have to set up the second call. She's going to bounce back in a few minutes. But the first segment, the first 3 minutes, is all about heart-centered connection. Authentic, heart-centered connection for 3 minutes. And that's what the judges are going to assess. They're not going to judge you. They're going to judge and assess the performance. How was that connection, the authentic, heart-centered connection of your communication? Then the second segment, it's going to be like, hey, who you are, what you're doing in the world, your story, how you solve the problem that you've opened up in that first section of heart-centered connection and putting something at stake. The second round is, again, who you are, what you're up to in the world, conveying your heroic, unique identity, and moving forward to a yes. That's what we're doing here on the Real Raw.
So she mentioned that she's in real estate, right? So are you an agent or you own a brokerage?
I'm an agent.
Okay, let's go with that. Hey, Donna, how are you today?
I'm fine, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. You look marvelous. I love your office. It's just my style.
It's a virtual office, but thank you.
I did
chose
notice
it.
that.
I designed it.
It's very cool. I did
Thank
notice
you.
that. I just redid my kitchen. It's very modern, chic, very cool and up to date. You would like it.
Awesome.
So are you open to having a quick conversation about your real estate business?
I am. And
Let's
thanks
do
for
it.
asking.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. In under 30 seconds, because we don't have a ton of time, I know you said you had a call coming up. What is the reason you decided to get into the industry that you're in?
That is an awesome question. It was actually my son. My first introduction to real estate was right out of college. I took my real estate license test exam. I passed it. I became a realtor under I think he must have been about 75 at that point. My uncle, who was a broker and very successful, mind you, even at 75, but he was ready to retire. And I was 22 and I was not ready for what real estate really had to offer. And so I let my license lapse. And then fast forward 27 years, I retired from a global company, Colgate-Palmolive. And I said, well, I'm still too young to sit at home. And my son said to me, Mom, I think you'll be a great realtor. And I was like, wow, I had my license at one point and I think you're right, because I'm great with people. So that's how I became a real estate agent.
Very cool. I love it. So family is the motivation, you would say.
Yes,
Very
absolutely.
cool. I love it. Well, real estate is tough. I work with a lot of agents, a lot of brokers. What is it that you're currently working on like right now? What are your priorities when it comes to growing your real estate business right now?
My priorities are listings.
Okay.
Although listings in this market, we're in a COVID situation, are very slim and they're very hard to come by. So I'm finding myself where my business prior to COVID was 50-50, 50 buyers, 50% buyers, 50% sellers. I'm seeing a shift, which I'm not liking. I want to maintain that 50-50 split. I don't want to go the other way. And so that's a challenge that I'm facing right now.
Okay.
Awesome. Hey, Donna, you got a quick call.
Thank
Get
you.
back to Mike in a minute.
All right. So that was the first 3-minute or so round. And so what I was trying to do in the very beginning was more or less try to charm Donna. I was just trying to get her to like me, to let her guard down and not feel like I was a salesperson just coming on to sell her something. So what I'm doing is I'm opening up dialogue in order to have a more casual conversation to just get her to be more comfortable speaking with me. So in the beginning, I kind of cracked some jokes and just find some common ground with her. Of course, this was a Zoom call and I could actually see her, and she had up almost like a green screen background behind her of this very nice, upscale looking office or apartment. And so I found a commonality with her, and I thought to myself, well, if she likes this sort of aesthetic and she would one day want to have an office like this, that would be cool to connect with her on that if this is her taste in furniture and her taste in style. So I just kind of start a casual conversation there. I already know in this call that she's into real estate. So this is somebody that's going in and out of beautiful homes all the time. So I just find some common ground with her and say, hey, I just redid my kitchen. You can see it behind me. This is not a green screen. This is actually my kitchen. And I am actually into much more modern, upscale, up-to-date style. I like whites and blacks and grays, as you can tell by everything I'm wearing and pretty much everything behind me. But that's besides the point, right? So I find some common ground with her. And my objective in these first 3 minutes is not to talk about selling anything. That is the big mistake that salespeople make, is they talk about themselves and they talk about everything they offer and they try to be the hero for their potential customer. It's one of the biggest mistakes you can make. You want your customer to feel like the hero. You want your potential client to be the hero in their own story. And you want to be that mentor or that guide that says, hey, I understand what you're going through. I've been there before. Let me guide you to the solution, which would of course be the service or the product that you sell. So once I found some common ground with her, I really only had one objective before my 3 minutes was up. And that was to ask her, what was she currently working on in her business? Because I knew that rolling into the second round, I wanted to be able to pick up with, why hadn't she done it already? That was pretty much my main objective and my main line of questioning that I wanted to ask. So you saw there at the end of the round, I barely got the question out. I said, what is it that you're currently working on? What are the items that you're working on, or the tasks that you're completing or trying to complete? And at the very end there, she talks about trying to get more listings, trying to get more appointments, more buyers, more sellers, because she's in the real estate industry. So now stay tuned. You're going to see what the judges had to say about my first round.
Okay, so Mike, I loved how you fully connected with her personally. You wanted to find out her why. You wanted to find out her passion, what got her to this business in the first place. And I believe that when you know someone's why, you're going to be able to support them even in a higher capacity, because you know what their pull is. So I thought that was amazing. Because of the time, I felt like you were rushed and you really couldn't get into what was the ideal problem that she needed support in. But I felt like you were headed that way. For a number, I would have given you a 9, because I know if you probably had another minute, you would have written right into understanding what really she needed in her business.
So for Mike, I would say excellent line of questioning as well. The only thing that, the issue with there again was mirroring and labeling your prospect. You guys are asking the questions that you want answered as opposed to finding out the real reason as why she needs help.
Right.
So, excellent work with the rapport, but still, the person who speaks the least makes the most amount of money. Now you have to let her speak as opposed to continuously ask questions.
Nice, Amber. And what'd you have for a score?
I would say around a 7.
Excellent.
Mike, I loved the first question. Like, why did you get into real estate? I mean, not only did it take her back to the past, but it also, allowed Donna to open up, and really you heard her take a deep breath and go right into her heart. The only suggestion I would make after building such incredible rapport would have been to begin to put something at stake, something to really encourage, her to find out what the solution might be for her problem.
Yeah, and we'll illustrate that a little bit later. So great job, Adam. So Pedro, Mike, excellent work, my friends.
I'll give Mike an 8. Sorry.
An 8.1, Adam? I'm sorry.
8.5 for Mike.
All right, thank you.
Now, if you're a coach, consultant, or freelancer of any kind, I highly encourage you to check out &Co. &Co is made by my friends over at Fiverr, and it is truly the ultimate suite for sending proposals, collecting payments, sending invoices, and tracking your time. Now, as a consultant myself, I've literally used dozens of different softwares that claim to do those things, and I most often just find myself getting frustrated, or they just don't work and everything that they create kind of looks like crap. But I actually really like &Co, and it is a tool that I use on a weekly and monthly basis. Not only is it backed by Fiverr, which is a huge company that I'm sure you've heard of, but it's really just easy to use. It's got a clean interface. I like it a lot, and it makes your job easy the same way that it does mine. So be sure to check it out. I highly encourage you to at least give it a try, because it's free to use and you can use it for free as long as you want. However, if you upgrade to a pro account, you and I will both get $20. So go ahead, check that out through the link in the description of this video, and I hope you enjoy it. So as you can see, the judges picked up on exactly what I was doing. The judges themselves have plenty of sales experience. They were great, and they literally saw exactly what I was doing. They read right into what I was explaining just a minute ago, which was trying to make that personal connection with the prospect, trying to find common ground with them. Even Adam mentioned me bringing up, why did you get into this industry? And Donna's answer to the question was her family. And you heard me ask her, I say, okay, so would it be fair to say that your family is a big point of motivation for you? And she says, yes, absolutely. So I know what their kind of emotional strings are. I know what matters to them. It's not necessarily money, right? So this is a good example. It's not that you want to manipulate people, but you want to know what's important to people if you want to make sales. That's just how it is. And so what I would share with you is that you want to be clear on what actually matters to your potential client or your prospect. So when Donna told me that her family is the reason that she does this, she was retired and came out of retirement basically to get into real estate because her son constantly said, "You should be in real estate, Mom." And that was her motivation behind doing it. So I knew right away that that was my line of questioning. I wanted to dig deep on why she makes the decisions that she makes, so that way I'm prepared in round two. I think the judges gave me fairly decent criticism and feedback. Ambro mentioned that I wasn't spending enough time listening, that I was spending too much time asking questions, or not enough time asking questions. I would argue that that I did a fairly decent job. But overall, very good first round, I think. But the judges were watching it and looking at it from a different perspective, the same way that you are. So feel free to drop your comments below. But that is what I was trying to accomplish in the first round. Let's go ahead and take a look at the second round.
Awesome, brother. So Donna is back from her call, and please drop in. Ring, ring.
All right. Hey, Donna, I enjoyed our last phone call. I'm glad you called me back.
I did too. Thank you. Thank you for calling, for catching.
Of course. So I'll give you a refresher on where we left off. We talked about some of the challenges that you're facing. I'm curious to know, have you done anything about these challenges? Like, are you taking action on some sort of item or marketing that you're doing to try to overcome getting more listings?
I have. And, having contacts and leads are always a good thing. And I hate to always turn down business. So what I've decided to do, instead of doing that, I decided to increase my team. Well, I've been a team of one all along, but I feel that, in order not to miss the buyer's business, I actually hired a buyer's agent. I've also hired a virtual assistant, and I've always had a transactional coordinator. So now that I have assistants and I am in the process of getting them up and running, up to speed, I feel that's going to alleviate some of the time that's spent with buyers. Now I can start focusing on my lead generation with sellers and obtain more listings that way.
Okay.
While
And
not losing business.
right. How long have these people been in place for you?
My transactional coordinator has always been with me, so I would say for about a year and a half. And my virtual assistant, I hired her 3 months ago, and it's working out beautifully. And I just hired a buyer's assistant last week.
Okay. So some of these people have been with you for a while now. So
Yes.
when it comes to getting more leads, would you say that this is working, or would you say that you still feel like you're missing something?
No, I think I have all the players in place. It's just a matter of making sure that the players or my team are performing at their peak. So it's going to take some training, and I do know that. And I'm prepared to, provide the training, the knowledge that they need in order to get up and running, because I see the potential in all of the individuals that I've hired so far.
30 seconds.
And I think I would say in the next, because I've already drew a line in the sand, in the next 30 to 60 days, I should be able to be on the top of my game once again.
Okay.
Performing at a higher level.
Of course. So if you could explain in one or two words, why haven't you done that already?
I can give you one word.
Sure.
Fear.
Okay. Fear of what?
Fear of failure.
Okay. So let me ask you this. I know that you got to go here in a couple minutes. If when we hang up, I go and I put together a plan and I create a process for you and I can lay it all out and I can give you a price of what it would cost, would you let go of that fear and let me put that into place in your business for you?
If it can do all of that, absolutely.
Okay. And when is a good time for me to follow up with you?
If you can have it ready yesterday, that would have been better.
Okay.
But
how about this?
In real time, I would say
Last 5 seconds, Mike. Yep.
if you can have it done by the end of the week, that would be great.
Okay.
But,
Well, I'll
Mike,
have it done by the end of day tomorrow, and I'll send it over to you. And there's only two things we need in order to work together. You have to be okay with the price, you sign the proposal, and then you need to set aside 2 hours for us to do a call, and I'll walk you through the plan that I've created for you. Okay?
That sounds good.
Okay. I think
Good
so
job,
too. It was good talking to you, Donna.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
excellent work, Mike. How'd that feel for you?
Yeah, good. It's challenge. Like I love sales, I really do, but it's definitely challenged when there's a time constraint.
Yeah, for sure. And so, and remember for everybody who's watching out there, either live or in replay, we could always seek a longer meeting, so great job, Mike, in truly compressing all that into that time frame, not feeling rushed and being so heart-centered. You did an amazing job. Excellent.
Thank you. So as you can see, I was very critically pinched on time. I really didn't have enough time to execute exactly what I wanted to do, but I was able to get the yes. I was able to get the nod, and she was saying, yes, if I put the plan down on paper and it does what I said it would do, that she would sign it and she would pay the price, right? That she'd be open to it. So I got mostly a commitment. Now, in a real sales situation, this call would ideally be much longer. You're talking about a 45-minute to 60-minute call, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video. Now, in the beginning, what I wanted to do was take out kind of the awkward tension in the call. Just immediately remind her where we left off. That's a really important thing. Referencing and looping back to the beginning of the call and making her remember some of the things she mentioned. So I said, hey, here's where we left off. We talked about some of the issues that you were facing in your business. You told me a little bit about what you were doing. I want to pick up where I left off and ask you, why haven't you done these things? Now, this is really interesting because what happens when you ask somebody that is a lot of the times they've never actually considered to themselves why they haven't done it. So they're almost stuck in a situation where they have to be very honest with themselves and think, wait a minute, why haven't I done those things? And so the very first thing that came to Donna's mind was the honest truth, which was just the fear of failure. She didn't want to risk everything and it not work out or it not go in her favor, okay? And so by her telling me that, now I know what motivates her and I know what she's afraid of. In any sales situation, all you're trying to do is help move somebody towards success and away from failure. So she has now told me what success is to her and she has told me what failure is for her, right? Her failing is truly the essence of being afraid of failing all the time. That is the failure. Being afraid of it not working or being afraid of making a mistake or being afraid of putting all into her business and it not working out. Whereas success is making her family proud and being able to get more listings and have a team that's successful and she's able to provide leads and revenue and income for her entire team. So now I know the objective. I need to move her away from being afraid of failure and I need to move her towards making her team and her family proud by getting more listings. So that is the vehicle. Now, my ultimate goal, and in the very beginning of this interview, my thought of what I wanted to do was get into like personal branding, and I was figuring that I would probably sell her a brand new website. But when she told me that she was working on building an organization and things like that, really that goes into team management and feeding that team with leads. I didn't have the chance to actually explain the service because I ran out of time. So what I did instead was I just doubled down on the fact that she was afraid of failure, and I said, look, if I could put a plan together for you that I could implement so that there is virtually no chance of you failing, would you be open to that? And if I could do that and write it down and show it to you, would you sign that and would you work with me? And ultimately she said yes. So I think it went really well. Let's hear what the judges had to say.
Amber, would you have, let's start with Mike.
Yeah, Mike made some huge improvements. He allowed the prospect to speak far more than he asked questions. So I think he did a phenomenal job. No real criticism whatsoever. I think everything that he implemented all the way from his first question to his last question was excellent. So I'd actually give him a 9.5 on the last question.
Boom, big number.
So for Mike, what I thought was great is that you took all the feedback that Adam and Amber and I gave you and you used it. And I think that's very important when we're looking at progression. And I loved how I think that she really felt heard by the questions that you were asking. And again, like Amber was saying, that you allowed her to talk. So you got more into her model of the world versus yours. And your call to action was great. Just hearing, she obviously needed some more detail of what specifically that was going to look like. But I mean, I thought it was really great. I would have given you a 9.5.
Yeah, so I would say they both did an incredible job. Mike connected again, and through his certainty, the authenticity, you could just hear the genuine caring to be able to solve the problem. Both of these guys, and I'll give the feedback, we heard some incredible bios and they are successful, accomplished. Mike, I would have liked to hear a little bit about that right before you asked for, your next steps, because, all that you've done, like right there, proof is in the pudding. You have it. You found out. I love the question, and determining her opening up. She was connected when she was willing to admit that she had, a fear of failure. And after that, I would have just went and solved the problem with who you are. And if anybody knows fear of failure and overcoming it, it's you with everything you're up to in the world. I would have just wanted her to know it, hear it from your lips. So, but great job. I would stick with an 8.5.
So obviously I loved the judges' feedback on that round because it was all really great. The thing across the board that I shared with you and that you can tell from the judges is that it wasn't clear what I was selling, right? And I was so short on time, it was very hard to even come up with a service that fit what she was talking about, because in my real life, I actually don't sell a service that would really help her unless it was just specifically lead generation. But she talked a lot about team building and organizations, which doesn't involve me. I don't do anything like that. So I kind of just ran with the punches and kind of had to figure it out. But of course the judges noticed that I left the details out. I didn't say, hey, this is what I'm selling. And the other contestant actually did a really good job of explaining what he was selling, but it took up all of his time. And so I ended up scoring better than the other person. Not that that really mattered in this scenario, but it just goes to show that sometimes it's not talking about your service that really matters. It's not talking about you or your service. It's paying attention to the customer and letting the customer be the hero and let them understand that you can just help guide them in the direction that they want to go in. So I hope that you found this helpful. If anybody from the Unblinded crew is watching this, I want to say thank you guys for having me. It was really, really awesome. Be sure to check them out. I will put their details below in the caption or in the show notes. So in hindsight, the only thing I would really do different is, instead of selling and trying to get her to sign a proposal or something like that, the one thing I would have changed if I wasn't on the spot like that is I probably just would have set the next meeting. That should have been the yes I was trying to get. I should have said, hey, okay, well, let's pick up this conversation tomorrow. Would you be able to talk at 12 p.m. Eastern, whatever. That could have been the yes, right? But I'm such, sounds egotistical saying I'm a natural salesperson, but I like sales. So that's just the direction that I go in, is just trying to close the deal. I'm always kind of ambitious about trying to get the deal done and get the transaction finished. So that's naturally the direction that I went in. But in hindsight, that would maybe be what I changed. Now, I would encourage anybody, regardless of being on a podcast interview or anything like that, I would encourage anybody to get into a role play situation and practice sales. The same way that you would do if you were practicing flashcards when you were in high school. Find a way to practice sales in any situation. It doesn't have to be selling a product. You could just be even trying to close the deal, to take somebody on a date, do some role playing, have some fun with it. Regardless, I hope that you have liked this breakdown of the Unblinded show and my participation on it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications to see the next one. Cool. So I think I like that. I think that'll be enough to chop up and make something cool.